He survived the trial, only because the alien princess chose him. The next, he was standing on the edge of Zethuria's spaceport, staring at the alien world that humanity had only dreamed of contacting. The city stretched before him like something from a dream. Towers of crystal reflected the light of the twin suns, while floating gardens drifted gently between them. Transparent walkways connected platforms, and alien beings moved with grace and confidence. The air hummed with a subtle energy, a quiet reminder that this was no ordinary place. He took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm of nerves inside him. Humans had been preparing for this contact for decades, but being here in person was something entirely different. Zethuria was known across the galaxy for its advanced technology and its strict trials. Every species that sought alliance with the Zethurians had to undergo these trials, designed to test intelligence, courage, creativity, and compassion. Eli knew that failure would not just reflect on him, it would reflect on all of humanity. The main hall of the spaceport was vast. The ceiling seemed endless, and the walls shimmered with patterns that seemed almost alive. Eli's footsteps echoed softly as he moved forward, his eyes taking in every detail. He could see candidates from dozens of species, each preparing for the trials in their own way. Some were meditating, others were studying holographic panels, and a few were practicing physical challenges. Eli felt a twinge of doubt. He was good, yes, but these beings were not just advanced, they were extraordinary. A soft, melodic voice called the candidates forward. Eli turned and saw her, Princess Lyra. She moved with elegance, her presence commanding attention without needing to raise her voice. Her skin had a subtle iridescent glow, and her eyes shone with intelligence and curiosity. She was calm but powerful, a figure that inspired both respect and admiration. Eli felt a strange mixture of fear and hope. If anyone could judge him fairly, it was her. "Welcome, visitors from Earth," she said, her voice carrying easily across the hall. "You have come seeking alliance with Zethuria. To earn that alliance, you must undergo our trials. These trials are not just tests of strength or knowledge. They are tests of character, of heart, and of spirit." The candidates listened intently. Eli could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. This was not just about survival or success. It was about proving that humans could stand alongside Zethurians as equals. The first trial was announced, a puzzle of logic and perception. Each candidate was presented with a device that projected a series of shifting shapes and patterns. The goal was to rearrange them to form a perfect sequence. At first glance, it seemed impossible. The shapes moved faster than the eye could track, and the rules of the puzzle were unfamiliar to humans. Eli's heart raced, but he forced himself to focus. He could do this. He had solved problems far stranger than this on Earth. He studied the patterns carefully, noticing a rhythm in their movements. Most candidates tried to force a solution, moving shapes randomly or using brute logic. Eli, however, let his mind flow with the puzzle, observing the connections rather than trying to dominate them. Slowly, a pattern emerged in his mind, a sequence that made sense not by strength or speed but by understanding. With careful precision, he moved the shapes, one by one, until the sequence aligned perfectly. A soft chime echoed through the hall. The puzzle accepted his solution. Eli glanced up, surprised to see Princess Lyra watching him intently. There was no judgment in her gaze, only interest. He had passed the first challenge, but he knew this was only the beginning. The next trial tested physical agility. Candidates were asked to navigate a series of obstacles that twisted and shifted constantly. The paths floated in midair, and a single misstep could send someone tumbling into the soft, glowing void below. Eli's heart pounded as he stepped onto the first platform. His body moved with training and instinct, balancing carefully, but the real challenge was in thinking ahead. Each platform was unpredictable, and the solution required a combination of speed, balance, and intuition. He watched the alien candidates before him. They moved with fluidity, their bodies responding almost before they thought. Eli felt a pang of doubt. Could he really keep up? But then he remembered the reason he was here. Humanity had sent him not because he was perfect, but because he represented human courage, adaptability, and determination. He focused, taking one careful step after another. He stumbled once, almost losing his footing, but he recovered quickly. Slowly, steadily, he made his way across the course, using creativity to find paths others had overlooked. When he reached the end, he felt a wave of relief and pride. He had done it. Not perfectly, not as fast as some of the aliens, but he had done it in his own way. Princess Lyra's eyes met his again, and this time there was a faint smile on her lips. The third trial was different. It was a moral challenge. Candidates were presented with scenarios that required them to make choices that revealed their values. In one simulation, a candidate had to decide whether to save a small alien creature trapped in a dangerous situation or complete the task first. Most of the aliens prioritized efficiency, completing the task before helping. Eli hesitated, then acted. He reached out, freeing the creature before continuing. The trial evaluated not speed but heart, and Eli's choice was noted. Princess Lyra observed silently, her interest growing. She had seen many candidates, but Eli's combination of courage, intelligence, and empathy was unusual. He was not perfect, but he was human in a way that seemed to resonate with her. The final test of the day was a creative challenge. Candidates were asked to solve a problem using limited resources, a device that had to be repaired to save a structure on the edge of collapse. Aliens used advanced techniques, relying on knowledge of materials Eli could barely understand. He looked at the broken device and the tools available. He didn't have the same technical knowledge, but he had imagination and adaptability. Using the tools in ways that had not been intended, he managed to stabilize the structure long enough for it to function. A murmur of surprise spread through the hall. The other candidates glanced at him with a mixture of admiration and disbelief. Eli felt a surge of pride but tried to remain humble. He knew that the trials were only beginning. There was much more to come, and the most difficult tests were still ahead. As the candidates were dismissed for rest, Princess Lyra approached Eli. He felt his heart skip a beat. She looked at him with those shining eyes, studying him carefully. "You have done well today," she said softly. "Your solutions were not the most efficient, but they showed ingenuity, courage, and compassion. These qualities are rare, even among our own kind." Eli nodded, trying to keep his excitement in check. "Thank you, Princess Lyra. I will do my best in the trials to come." "I am sure you will," she replied, her voice carrying warmth. "Remember, the trials are not about perfection. They are about choice. The choices you make will show who you truly are." Eli spent the night in the Zethurian quarters, unable to sleep. He thought about the day, replaying every challenge and every decision. He realized that the trials were more than tests, they were mirrors. They reflected not just skill or strength, but character. Humans had always relied on creativity, empathy, and determination to overcome challenges. Perhaps that was his greatest advantage. The following morning, he returned to the hall, ready for the next phase of the trials. The room was filled with energy as candidates prepared themselves. Eli felt a strange mixture of fear and excitement. The first day had been difficult, but he had survived. He had learned, adapted, and even impressed Princess Lyra. The next trial would test his limits in ways he could not yet imagine. There would be illusions, simulations, and choices that challenged both mind and heart. Eli steeled himself. Whatever lay ahead, he would face it with courage and determination. He would show the Zethurians the best of humanity, even when the path was uncertain. As he took his place among the other candidates, he felt a quiet confidence. He had no guarantee of success, but he had something just as valuable: the ability to think, to care, and to act when it mattered. The trials would be hard, but Eli Parker was ready to prove that humans had a place among the stars. Princess Lyra watched from above, her eyes thoughtful. There was something about this human that was different, something that made her believe he might just survive the trials in a way no other outsider had. For now, the challenge was only beginning. And Eli Parker, standing on the edge of an alien world, felt a spark of hope. He had survived the first day, not because he was perfect, but because he was human. And sometimes, being human was enough to stand out in the universe. Eli Parker awoke to a soft light filtering through the Zethurian quarters. The twin suns of Zethuria cast gentle golden rays that danced on the crystal walls, making the entire room shimmer. He stretched and tried to shake off the lingering tension from the previous day's trials. Despite his success, he felt the weight of what was coming. The trials were not over, they had only just begun. He stepped into the hall for the second day of challenges, feeling the same mix of excitement and nervousness as yesterday. The room was alive with candidates preparing themselves. Some meditated, focusing on inner balance. Others whispered among themselves, discussing strategies or recalling previous trials. Eli took a deep breath and focused on what mattered: his choices, his mind, and his heart. These were what had earned him respect yesterday, and they would matter again today. The first trial of the day was a test of perception and observation. Candidates were presented with a complex array of holographic symbols, each shifting and changing unpredictably. The task was to detect subtle patterns that could reveal the underlying structure. Most aliens immediately analyzed the sequence with mathematical precision, attempting to anticipate every change. Eli, however, allowed himself to step back and observe the flow rather than force control over it. As he watched, he noticed small repetitions and tiny deviations, clues that others overlooked. He traced them with his hands in the holographic space, moving slowly, carefully, letting his mind connect the dots in a way that was instinctive rather than calculated. A faint chime sounded, confirming his solution. Once again, Princess Lyra's eyes found his. This time, there was a spark of curiosity, almost a silent acknowledgement that Eli had a way of seeing the world that was unexpected but valuable. Next came a challenge of agility and problem-solving under pressure. Candidates had to navigate an arena filled with floating platforms, moving barriers, and shifting energy fields. At first glance, it appeared chaotic, impossible to predict. Some aliens dashed recklessly, confident in their abilities. Others hesitated, studying the paths carefully but moving too slowly to succeed. Eli knew that neither recklessness nor overthinking would work. He needed a balance of observation, timing, and courage. He stepped onto the first platform. It wobbled slightly under his weight, but he adjusted quickly, feeling the rhythm of the moving platforms beneath his feet. When an energy barrier rose in his path, he didn't panic. Instead, he observed its pattern and timed his jump with care. One by one, he advanced, solving each obstacle as it came. When he reached the final platform, he paused and looked back. Many candidates had fallen or retreated, but Eli had made it through. He felt a sense of accomplishment but also knew that true tests were still ahead. The third challenge was the hardest yet. It was a trial of moral judgment. Candidates were presented with scenarios that simulated real-life dilemmas. Each choice they made revealed not just intelligence but the essence of their character. In one simulation, a candidate was given the opportunity to gain a shortcut to success at the expense of another being's safety. Most aliens chose efficiency, completing the task first and ignoring the potential harm. Eli hesitated, considering the implications. Then he made his choice. He prioritized the safety of the other being, even if it meant slowing his progress. Princess Lyra observed silently, her expression unreadable. Eli could feel her attention but forced himself to focus on the trial, knowing that it was not about approval but about integrity. When the simulation ended, the system confirmed his choice as meaningful. It did not give points for speed or brilliance, only for empathy and ethical reasoning. Eli realized that his human traits, compassion, courage, and instinct, were once again standing out among the candidates. The next challenge combined creativity with teamwork. Candidates were divided into small groups and tasked with repairing a damaged communication device that could save a critical energy relay for the city. Each team was given limited tools and materials, forcing them to think beyond conventional solutions. Eli was grouped with two Zithurian candidates who initially seemed skeptical of his abilities. Eli listened carefully to their ideas and then offered his own. He suggested using a combination of simple mechanical adjustments and creative rerouting that none of the Zithurians had considered. At first, they hesitated, unsure if it would work, but Eli's confidence and reasoning won them over. Together, the team implemented the solution, stabilizing the device. When the system confirmed success, Eli felt the satisfaction of not only solving a problem, but building trust and collaboration with beings from another world. Princess Lyra moved closer, watching the results of the trial. Eli felt the weight of her gaze again, this time accompanied by a sense of approval. She had seen many candidates, but few had the ability to combine ingenuity, empathy, and courage as seamlessly as Eli. His success was not just in completing the challenges, it was in how he approached them, how he made choices that reflected not only skill but character. After the teamwork challenge, Eli was led to a quiet observation chamber. Here, candidates were asked to meditate and reflect on their journey. The room overlooked the alien city below, and Eli took the opportunity to study its beauty. He realized that the trials were as much about understanding this world as they were about testing him. Zithurians valued balance, harmony, and thoughtful action, and he had begun to understand why. As he reflected, he noticed other candidates approaching. Some nodded in respect, others whispered quietly about his unconventional solutions. Eli felt a mix of humility and pride. He knew he had advantages that others did not superior strength or knowledge, but the human ability to think creatively, act ethically, and adapt under pressure. These were traits he could rely on as the trials became more demanding. The afternoon brought a test that was unlike any other. Candidates were placed in a virtual environment that simulated extreme scenarios, storms, earthquakes, collapsing structures. The task was to navigate safely while helping any beings in need. Many candidates focused solely on survival, pushing past others or ignoring pleas for help. Eli, however, paused whenever he saw a creature in danger, finding ways to assist while still progressing. He improvised tools, redirected falling debris, and maintained calm under pressure. By the end of the scenario, Eli had not only survived but ensured the safety of multiple creatures, earning recognition from both the simulation system and the observing Zithurians. He realized that every challenge so far had a common thread. Skill alone was not enough. Success required heart, thoughtfulness, and a willingness to put others before oneself. This principle, Eli understood, was what distinguished the exceptional from the ordinary. Princess Lyra approached him at the end of the day. Eli felt a flutter of nervousness but also anticipation. Her presence was calm yet powerful, a reminder of the responsibility he carried. "You continue to impress," she said softly. "Your solutions are not only effective but they reflect qualities we value deeply: compassion, courage, and imagination. You are not perfect and you do not need to be. What matters is your choice to act with integrity, even when it is difficult." Eli nodded, his chest swelling with pride. Thank you, Princess Lyra. I am learning more than I ever imagined I could, not just about the trials, but about your world and how to approach challenges. Lyra's expression softened. You are learning, yes. And you are showing us what humans are capable of. That is as important as any skill or feat. Remember this as the trials continue. Every choice matters, and the heart is as vital as the mind. That evening, Eli found a quiet balcony overlooking the glowing city. The light of the twin suns had softened into a warm twilight, and the city shimmered like a field of stars. He thought about the day, the challenges he had faced, and the ways he had succeeded. He realized that he had grown, not just in skill, but in understanding. He had begun to see Zethurians not as competitors, but as teachers and collaborators, beings whose values could guide him and whose wisdom could help him grow. He also thought about Princess Lyra. She had observed him with a careful, discerning eye, and he sensed that her judgment was more than a formality. She was watching, learning, and perhaps even wondering if he had the qualities necessary to succeed in the ultimate trial. The thought was both daunting and inspiring. Eli knew he could not rely solely on luck or chance. He had to be deliberate in every action, thoughtful in every choice. As night fell, Eli allowed himself a moment of quiet reflection. He had survived the second day of trials, but he knew the most difficult tests were still ahead. There would be illusions to challenge his mind, moral dilemmas to challenge his heart, and choices that could define not just his future but the future of humanity's relationship with Zethuria. Yet, despite the uncertainty and the challenges to come, Eli felt a quiet confidence. He was not perfect. He was not the strongest or the fastest, but he had something else: human creativity, empathy, and courage. These qualities had carried him through 2 days of trials, and he trusted that they would serve him well in the trials yet to come. As he finally lay down to rest, Eli made a silent promise to himself. He would face each challenge fully, with integrity and determination. He would show the Zethurians the best of humanity, not through dominance or power, but through heart, mind, and spirit. And in doing so, he would honor the trust that had been placed in him, not just by Princess Lyra, but by all of humanity. In the quiet of the night, the city of Zethuria shimmered and glowed, as if acknowledging his resolve. Eli Parker, the human among aliens, was beginning to understand the true meaning of the trials. Success would not come easily, but he was ready to rise to the challenge. And somewhere, quietly, Princess Lyra watched, knowing that this human was unlike any other she had encountered. The next morning, Eli Parker awoke with a mixture of anticipation and anxiety. The first 2 days of trials had tested his mind, body, and heart, but he sensed that the ultimate challenge was approaching. Today, he would face the labyrinth of illusions, the trial that candidates whispered about in hushed tones. It was said that few who entered truly understood what they faced, and even fewer emerged unchanged. Eli walked into the grand hall with the other candidates, each step echoing across the polished floor. The air hummed with a quiet energy, and the walls shimmered like liquid crystal. Princess Lyra stood at the entrance of the labyrinth, her presence calm and commanding. She raised a hand, signaling for the candidates to proceed. "The labyrinth is not a test of strength, nor merely of intellect," she said. "It is a reflection of your inner self. It will challenge your fears, desires, and doubts. Only those who understand themselves and act with courage and compassion will find their way." Eli felt a chill of nervousness. The labyrinth would not just test skill, it would reveal who he truly was. He took a deep breath and stepped forward, determined to face whatever awaited him. The labyrinth's entrance shimmered like liquid light, and as Eli passed through, he felt a strange weight lift from his shoulders. The world shifted around him. He was no longer in a hall but in a vast, twisting environment of corridors, rooms, and strange landscapes. Every step seemed to ripple the air, and the walls reflected shifting images of people and places from his past, present, an imagined future. The first illusion appeared quickly. Eli found himself standing on a crumbling cliff, the winds whipping around him, threatening to knock him over. Below, he imagined the city he loved, small and fragile. The illusion whispered fears into his mind. What if he failed the trials? What if he could not protect his home or the humans who depended on him? He felt panic rise, but he forced himself to focus. Fear was part of the trial, but it did not have to control him. He steadied his breathing, visualized safe footing, and carefully stepped across the unstable ground. With each step, he reminded himself of what he had learned in the previous trials. Courage was not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. As he moved deeper into the labyrinth, the illusions grew more complex. He entered a hall filled with mirrors that reflected countless versions of himself. Each reflection displayed a different choice he might have made. Some brave, some selfish, some timid. Eli could feel the weight of judgment pressing from every direction. Which version of himself would be strong enough to continue? He closed his eyes for a moment, recalling Princess Lyra's words. The labyrinth is a reflection of your inner self. He understood that the mirrors were not there to trap him, they were there to teach him. He would have to accept himself, flaws and all, and continue forward with integrity. Opening his eyes, he focused on the path ahead, ignoring the echoes of fear and doubt that surrounded him. The labyrinth shifted again, transforming into a dense forest filled with strange, glowing plants. Strange creatures moved among the trees, some appearing lost or frightened. One creature, small and fragile, became trapped beneath a fallen branch. Eli's instincts urged him to continue, to find the exit quickly, but he remembered the lessons of compassion from previous trials. He knelt, gently lifting the branch and freeing the creature. The creature looked at him with eyes full of gratitude, then disappeared into the shadows. Eli smiled, realizing that even in the midst of illusions, small acts of kindness mattered. They were a measure of character, a reflection of the human qualities that had brought him this far. As he progressed, the labyrinth began to challenge his mind. He entered a room filled with complex symbols and shifting pathways, each leading to a different illusion of success or failure. At the center, a projection appeared, showing a future where he failed the trials and humanity lost its chance at alliance with Zithuria. Eli felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. The vision was tempting him to despair, but he refused. He would not be swayed by fear or doubt. Instead, he focused on the patterns of the symbols, using logic, intuition, and creativity to find the correct path. Step by step, he navigated the maze, avoiding traps and misleading illusions. The labyrinth tested not just what he could see, but how he chose to respond to uncertainty. Every decision mattered. After what felt like hours, he entered a chamber filled with light. Here, the labyrinth created illusions of loved ones, people from his past, showing moments of joy, regret, and longing. Eli felt a pang of emotion, but he did not allow it to distract him. He understood that the trial was testing his ability to remain true to his purpose, even when confronted with desire, nostalgia, and doubt. He walked forward, keeping his mind clear and his heart steady. The illusions tried to tempt him off course, but he reminded himself why he was here: to represent humanity, to show courage, compassion, and ingenuity. The trials had always been about choices, and he chose to move forward with integrity. As he emerged from the chamber, he found himself in a vast open space with a single figure waiting, Princess Lyra. She stood calmly, her gaze steady, as if she had been waiting for him all along. Eli felt a surge of relief and anticipation. "You have done well, Eli Parker," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "The labyrinth is not simply about finding the exit. It is about understanding yourself, confronting your fears, and making choices guided by courage, compassion, and wisdom. Few outsiders have ever shown the qualities you possess." Eli bowed his head, grateful for her words but aware that the final decision was not his. "Thank you, Princess Lyra. I only did what I could, following what I believed to be right." Lyra stepped closer, her eyes studying him intently. "You have faced fear, doubt, and desire, and yet you acted with integrity. That is why you stand here. The labyrinth has tested you, and you have not only survived, you have grown." Eli felt a strange mix of pride and humility. He knew that he had performed well, but the trials were never about personal glory. They were about proving that humans could rise to challenges, that courage, creativity, and compassion were universal strengths. "Now," Lyra continued, "the time has come for me to make a choice. The trials are designed not just to test you, but to see if you are worthy of trust, responsibility, and partnership. You have shown us qualities that are rare, even among our own kind. I must decide whether you will represent your species in alliance with Zithuria." Eli felt his heart race. He had faced puzzles, obstacles, moral dilemmas, and illusions, but this moment was different. It was not a test of skill or strength or knowledge. It was a test of trust, and the choice was not his to make. Lyra extended her hand, and the labyrinth seemed to fade around them. Eli realized that the trials, though challenging, had always been leading to this moment. Every choice, every act of courage and compassion, had brought him to the princess's judgment. "You have proven yourself in ways that cannot be measured by skill alone," she said softly. "I choose you, Eli Parker, not because you are perfect, but because you are human. You have shown courage, compassion, ingenuity, and integrity. These are the qualities that we value, and they are the qualities that will make you a worthy representative of your species." Eli felt a rush of emotion. Relief, gratitude, and pride swelled inside him. He had succeeded not through perfection, but through heart and choice. He had shown what humans were capable of when they faced challenges with courage and wisdom. I don't know what to say," he stammered. "Thank you, Princess Lyra. I will do my best to honor your trust and represent humanity with integrity." Lyra smiled, a soft warmth in her expression. "You already have. The trials are complete and you have proven yourself. The future of our alliance will be shaped not only by skill, but by the qualities you have shown. That is why I chose you." Eli looked around at the labyrinth, now fading into the background. The trials had tested him in ways he could never have imagined, and yet they had taught him more than any training or preparation ever could. He had faced fear, doubt, and temptation, and had emerged stronger, wiser, and more confident in himself and in humanity. As he stepped forward, Lyra beside him, Eli felt a sense of purpose he had never known. The trials were over, but the real journey was only beginning. He would carry the lessons of the labyrinth, the wisdom of the trials, and the trust of Princess Lyra with him, as he stepped into a future filled with challenges, opportunities, and the promise of alliance between Earth and Zithuria. Eli Parker, once just another human explorer, now stood as a symbol of humanity's potential. He had survived the ultimate trial, not by being the strongest, fastest, or most brilliant, but by being courageous, compassionate, and wise. And in that, he had proven that humans could shine brightly, even among the stars. Eli Parker had never felt anything like it. The labyrinth was behind him, the trials complete, yet the weight of what lay ahead pressed heavily on his shoulders. The halls of Zithuria were quieter now, the candidates having dispersed, leaving him alone with the anticipation of Princess Lyra's final decision. He had faced challenges that tested his mind, body, and heart, yet the ultimate trial had not been about skill or strength, it had been about choice. And now, the choice rested with her. He walked toward the central chamber, a place of shimmering crystal and quiet energy. Princess Lyra stood at its center, her presence commanding yet serene. She regarded him with a calm intensity, her eyes seeming to read not only his actions but the very essence of his character. Eli felt a mixture of awe and nervousness. He had faced many tests, but nothing felt as crucial as this moment. "You have completed the trials, Eli Parker," Lyra said softly, her voice carrying through the chamber. "The labyrinth has shown me much. You have faced fear and uncertainty, you have acted with courage and compassion, and you have remained true to yourself despite the illusions and temptations. Few humans have ever come this far." Eli bowed slightly, trying to steady his racing heart. "Thank you, Princess Lyra. I only did what I believed to be right. You did more than survive," she interrupted gently. "You have shown that humans can rise to challenges with integrity, creativity, and empathy. These are not merely qualities of survival. They are the qualities that define a species capable of alliance, of friendship, of greatness." Eli felt a warmth rise in his chest. He had done more than he had imagined possible, yet he knew that recognition alone was not enough. The real task now was to take the lessons of the trials and step into the responsibility that came with them. He had learned that courage was not about fearlessness, but about action despite fear. He had learned that compassion was not weakness, but strength. And he had learned that human creativity, combined with ethical choice, could accomplish the impossible. Princess Lyra stepped closer, her eyes locking with his. "The decision is mine to make, but it is not simple. To choose you as humanity's representative is to trust you with the future of both your world and ours. It is a choice that requires not only judgment but understanding of the person before me." Eli swallowed, feeling the weight of her words. This was more than honor, it was responsibility, the kind that could shape alliances, friendships, and the destiny of two civilizations. He straightened, determined to meet the moment with all the integrity he could summon. "You may ask why I have chosen you," Lyra continued. "It is not because you are perfect, nor because you succeeded in every challenge flawlessly. It is because your choices, your actions, and your heart reflect the qualities we value most. Courage without wisdom is reckless. Intelligence without empathy is hollow. Strength without consideration is meaningless. You have shown all these qualities in balance." Eli nodded, realizing the truth of her words. The trials had tested him in every way imaginable, yet they had always been about more than success. They had been about demonstrating who he truly was. His humanity, with all its flaws and virtues, had become his greatest strength. Lyra gestured toward a platform that shimmered with light. "Step forward, Eli Parker. Accept the trust I offer, and with it, the responsibility to represent your species with honor and integrity. The choice is mine, but the journey is yours." Eli stepped onto the platform, feeling a strange energy hum beneath his feet. The light seemed to respond to his presence, reflecting the trials he had endured and the lessons he had learned. He felt a surge of pride, humility, and determination. This was more than recognition. It was an opportunity to prove that humans, with all their imperfections, could rise to greatness among the stars. "You have faced illusions of fear, desire, and doubt," Lyra said, her voice carrying both warmth and authority. "You have made choices that reflect the best of your species. For that, I choose you." Eli felt a wave of emotion, a mixture of relief and joy. He had survived the trials, not by being perfect, not by outshining others, but by staying true to himself and to the values he held dear. The princess's choice was both an honor and a responsibility, a recognition that he had the potential to shape the future in ways that went beyond personal achievement. He bowed deeply. "Thank you, Princess Lyra. I will not take this trust lightly. I promise to represent humanity with integrity, courage, and compassion." Lyra nodded, a faint smile gracing her lips. "I believe you will. The trials have ended, but your journey is just beginning. You will serve as a bridge between our worlds, a symbol of what humans can achieve when they act with heart and wisdom." As Eli stepped down from the platform, the chamber seemed to shimmer and shift, the energy around him responding to the significance of the moment. He looked at the city beyond the walls, its crystal towers and floating gardens glowing in the light of the twin suns. This was no longer just a challenge or a trial. It was a future filled with possibility, shaped by choices, courage, and understanding. Over the following days, Eli began his role as humanity's ambassador to Zithuria. He learned to navigate not only the alien technology and culture, but also the subtle art of diplomacy. Princess Lyra continued to guide him, offering wisdom and perspective, yet always allowing him to make his own decisions. Eli realized that this partnership was not just about trust, it was about mutual respect and shared growth. He discovered that the Zithurians valued not only intelligence but creativity, empathy, and collaboration. They admired the human ability to think outside the rules, to approach problems from unique angles, and to act with compassion even in the face of danger. Eli found himself respected not merely for surviving the trials, but for embodying the qualities that made humans remarkable. As weeks passed, Eli formed friendships and alliances with Zithurian scholars, engineers, and thinkers. He shared knowledge from Earth while learning from their advanced understanding of science, energy, and culture. Every day was a lesson, and every choice carried significance. Eli felt a deep sense of purpose, knowing that his actions could influence the relationship between two worlds. One evening, Eli stood beside Princess Lyra on a balcony overlooking the city. The twin suns were setting, casting a warm, golden glow over the crystal towers and gardens. The air was calm, filled with the quiet hum of energy that permeated Zithuria. "You have adapted well," Lyra said, her voice soft yet confident. "You have learned quickly, not only about our world but about how to navigate challenges with integrity and creativity. I am pleased with your progress." Eli smiled, feeling both pride and humility. "I could not have done it without the guidance and trust you offered. The trials taught me much, but your support has helped me grow even more." Lyra nodded, her expression thoughtful. "You have proven that humans are capable of great things. The trials were only the beginning, Eli Parker. The real work, the real opportunity, lies in what comes next, how you use your abilities, your heart, and your mind to build bridges, solve challenges, and inspire both our worlds." Eli looked out at the city, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. He realized that the trials had been about more than success. They had been about understanding, growth, and the courage to act with integrity. He had learned that being human was not about perfection, but about choice, choosing to act with courage, compassion, and creativity even when the path was uncertain. The weeks turned into months, and Eli became a respected figure not only among Zithurians but among his fellow human explorers. Stories of his trials spread across both worlds, inspiring others to embrace courage, empathy, and ingenuity. He knew that his journey was far from over, but he also knew that he had proven what humanity could achieve when faced with extraordinary challenges. As he walked through the glowing streets of Zithuria, Eli reflected on the trials, the labyrinth, and the choices he had made. He realized that the princess's decision had not been a simple reward. It had been recognition of potential, a trust placed in him to guide humanity with wisdom and integrity. And he was determined to honor that trust in every action he took. One afternoon, Lyra invited Eli to the Council of Zithurian Elders. Here, he participated in discussions about interstellar collaboration, sharing human perspectives while learning from Zithurian experience. His ideas were met with respect and curiosity. He realized that the trials had prepared him not just to survive, but to lead, to inspire, and to bridge the gap between worlds. Through these experiences, Eli understood that the essence of the trials was not competition but growth. They were not about proving superiority, but about showing that humans could rise to challenges with integrity, empathy, and creativity. He felt a deep sense of connection to both his home on Earth and the world of Zithuria. One evening, standing on a high balcony with Lyra, Eli watched the twin suns set once more. The city below shimmered, alive with energy and possibility. He felt a quiet confidence, knowing that he had faced fear, doubt, and temptation, and had emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to embrace the future. "You have done more than survive, Eli Parker," Lyra said quietly. "You have shown the heart of humanity. That is why I chose you, and that is why your role is so important. The future is bright, and your choices will shape it." Eli smiled, feeling a profound sense of purpose. "I will do my best, Princess Lyra. I promise to honor your trust and to represent humanity with courage, compassion, and wisdom." Lyra nodded, her expression warm and approving. "I believe you will. Remember, the trials were only the beginning. The true journey lies ahead, in the choices you make and the actions you take. Humanity has great potential, and you are its voice among the stars." As Eli gazed out over the glowing city, he realized that the story of his trials was not the end. It was the start of a greater adventure. He had survived, not because he was perfect, but because he had acted with heart, courage, and integrity. And in doing so, he had proven that humans could shine brightly, even in a universe filled with wonders and challenges beyond imagination. Eli Parker, once an ordinary explorer from Earth, now stood as a symbol of humanity's potential. He had faced the trials, earned the trust of Princess Lyra, and embraced the responsibility to represent his species. The trials were complete, but the adventure had only just begun. The universe stretched before him, full of challenges, mysteries, and opportunities. And Eli knew that with courage, compassion, and creativity, humans could meet those challenges and thrive among the stars. As night fell over Zithuria, the city glowed like a beacon of possibility. Eli stood beside Lyra, ready to face whatever the future held. The trials had tested him, shaped him, and revealed the strength of his character. And now, chosen by the princess, he would carry the light of humanity forward, proving that even the smallest of humans could make a difference in the vast expanse of the cosmos. He survived the trial, only because the alien princess chose him.